you're telling me that I have to pay a third-party administrator so that way they can cut my bill in half?
So Alex, you're telling me you'd rather pay plumbers a 10% referral fee or have a whole staff full of marketing people just to bring work through the door?
This is going to be a good debate with some good questions around whether you're pro TPA or you're pro independent. We'll have people that possibly are both.
Whether you're a TPA or an independent, if you take your money seriously and you treat collections as they should, you should have no problem collecting in a fast manner.
TPAs work 24/7, 365 without stopping for being sick. They don't take holidays. They don't take weekends. They don't have family emergencies, and all they cost is 5 or 7%.
Being independent, you can scale, and in my opinion, you can scale on your terms. You don't have to scale on a different term.
TPAs all kind of work on the same basic principle. You know, they bring some work in through a carrier that you're assigned to or you've been given access to. They push that work out to you, whatever that work may be.
What was your AR process in your turnaround on receivables?
Getting paid when you're doing TPA work is typically easier than getting paid through organic, in my experience. And you know, when you're getting paid through the TPA, we were seeing TPA collection times of anywhere between 25 and 30 or 40 days on a lot of the smaller ones, and then a little bit more on some of the larger losses and longer term losses.
We systematized everything, and we were actually able to get our turn on receivables to be sub 30 days. On most of our work, which I think was awesome. The way we did that was, like Mike mentioned, we really had to take our receivables seriously as an independent. So we had accounts receivable representatives that we'd call pretty much every other day to every 3 days to make sure that that payment was touched on.
How much control do you feel like you have over pricing when you're working from an independent standpoint?
As an independent, you really can be in control with what you charge. You don't have to take work on that you don't want to. You can give prices, you can get jobs that that are going to be worth the price for that specific job. You can, not work with specific carriers and things like those. That's kind of the benefit of being an independent.
I didn't really have any issue with anybody controlling pricing. Our average job sizes for mitigation and emergency services were around $5,000 a job. Our average recon job was about $20,000, and we were all full service, and our contents work would average about $25,000.
From the TPA side, how scalable is your position, and how quickly were you able to grow the businesses that you work with?
Here's the thing with TPA work. If you create a good, solid process in your company, whether it's TPA, independent, doesn't matter, that's going to be your foundation. That's going to be where the rubber hits the road, right?
If you dial in your marketing efforts on the independent side, though, you can massively grow too. Think about it, if you've got, you can nail it down to a science to where I can tell you 100%, if you market properly, you should be able to get about $1 million to $1.5 million worth of work your first year out of a relationship marketer.
What were your gross profit benchmarks, and what were your challenges throughout that process?
Yeah, so company-wide, we were hitting about 55% gross profit, and we were doing basically a 50% non-construction work with construction work mix. So about half of our work was what I consider non-construction work, mitigation contents, emergency services, and then the other half of it was construction. So I think, profitability-wise, we did pretty well.
So our gross profit margin on our mitigation year over year it hovered right around 70-71%. Profit on reconstruction, again, a little bit more overhead that goes into that. So we were tracking anywhere between 40 and 43%. And then contents were actually hitting about 60-65%. I think that there's space in our industry for both. I think having both is important depending on how your company is set up, and there's a lot of value in both positions.
I think a mix, and I think people should be open to that. And I think most of our audience here, based on the questions that were asked, They're probably independent people looking to maybe add TPA work to the mix.
So I think having your business be in balance and not, putting everything in one basket is probably my biggest takeaway.